Hello and welcome. Today we want to cover some questions that I've been getting from a lot of fans who use the Atari um, joystick adapters, the USB adapters that help you connect retro adapters like this one's the 5200 adapter. So this is a 5200 Atari USB, Atari controller to USB. I've connected to my Mac here. But these adapters work with Linux-based systems like Retropie and EmuElec and um, Batocera and so on. And they also work with the Windows PCs as well. But on the Mac in particular, I've got a bunch of questions about the 5200 adapter and how does that function on the Mac? Because the 5200 uses analog controls, and as you can see on the little display here, first of all, I've got two ports on this one. I've connected the joystick port 1, so you can see this joystick port is mapped to the screen as I move left and right and up and down. It has a very smooth ability to connect. And of course, then there's these keypad numbers. As I press 1, 2, 3, you can see they're responding on the screen. But how do these map on the uh, the device itself? I want to cover that, but more importantly, how do you get these analog controllers to work on the Mac? Unfortunately, there's a lot of challenges with Mac, and most of the emulators that are there do not support analog. But I found a good solution, and I wanted to share with everybody. So let's get started. The first thing you'll notice is, I've got a Mac that doesn't have a USB 2.0, so I've got a little adapter here that converts it to USB 3.0 or standard USB adapter. So I've connected that, but if you've got a regular USB port, this white plug would plug that in. But once you've got it's set up and you've got to this point, and you can see, it should be working with your Mac. And the way that I like to check on the Mac if things are working or not, if you go to the App Store on the Mac App Store and you search for controllers, you'll notice there's something called Controllers Lite. That's my favorite app to test the controllers to make sure they're registering on your Mac, and it's free. There's a bunch of other ones. Some other ones work, but you have to pay for them, and they don't necessarily give you. They might look prettier, but they're not going to give you the same detail that this particular one gives you that is free. So I've already downloaded this, and it's just like a normal app. You just install it. So I'm going to just show you what you see. So notice, I've got two uh, ports here, first controller and second controller. I've got it connected to the first one. So blue means it's detecting it, that's connected. And you can see as I move up and down, my axis 2 is highlighting here. So, um, low and high, that's equivalent of the one of the axes. And my axis 1 is my left and right. See, as I move left and right, those are registering, so those are working correctly. And as I press buttons, for example, start is mapped to button 9, pause is connected to button 10, reset button 11, and then all these other numpads also registers button 13, 4, 17, and so on. Okay, so it seems to be working. And if I had to unplug this and plug the on port 2, then you would see the second port also function. So check your system, make sure that uh, you're getting responses. That's your first step. Then the next step is download the right emulator. Doing a quick search on Atari emulators on Mac. Um, Unfortunately, there's not too many choices out there, and the ones that are there, um, each of them have some challenges, especially when it comes to analog controllers. So I tried the Atari 800 Mac X. It does support 5200 ROMs, but no way to work with analog controllers properly that I found. So unfortunately, especially with the 5200, I couldn't get this to work. It works well for digital joysticks and regular 800 games, but 5200, I couldn't get any luck with those. And this Atari 800 emulator, it's quite old, and it's the base core for many of the other emulators, but standalone again, no digital support. Sorry, no analog support, and was not able to get it to work. Another one that's quite popular these days, it's not on this list here, but it's OpenEMU. This is getting more and more support each day, but it's not just for Atari. It supports many other emulators as well, like Game Boy and Nintendo and many other uh, uh, systems out there. But behind the scenes, it uses cores similar to, if you're familiar with RetroArch on Windows. Um, when they use these cores, they're limited to whatever those cores support. And because it's using that same Atari 800 core, even for the 5200 emulation, unfortunately, there's no uh, analog support that works properly. It'll work with analog, but it'll act like it's digital. So as soon as you move a little bit to the right, immediately you go all the way to the right and all the way to the left. There's no precise movement. So, and unfortunately on the Mac, there is no emulator that I could get works, right out of the box. But what I did find that you can play on your Mac, these emulators, is you can download this app called Play on Mac. Really simple to do. Just install it. It's completely free. Uh, so, no reason not to install it. And, once you install it, you'll get, this kind of a screen like this. Obviously, Altirra will not be here, but, Altirra is my favorite emulator. What you'll do is you'll go, you'll search on, uh, remove the Mac and look for Atari 800 emulators, find Altair, and, here's uh, the different emulators, but this is the Altair site where it's called virtualdub.org, Altirra, and download this latest version, which is the Atari Altair 400 4.0, and download the x86 x64 version. And once it's a zip file, so you just unzip it onto your desktop, and then once you've got it unzipped onto your desktop as a folder, um, then go to this particular screen that it comes up with the Play It on Mac. Click on Install a Program. Click on Install a Not Listed Program, and it'll go through a few steps through the wizard. Uh, install it as a new virtual drive. I'm not going to go through all the steps here, but it'll ask you for the setup file. There is no setup file, so you just have to point it to the exe that's on your desktop on the folder that you're going to put unzip things into, and then click, 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 go through the steps, and it will create. It won't have this icon because it's not a setup file, and it'll just show you whatever name you gave it, but it won't have this icon. Um, the next step you want to do is you want to highlight it, uh, and you want to create a shortcut. And creating a shortcut will let you basically pick the Altirra.exe file. Oh, I'm sorry. One step before you create a shortcut. You want to just go ahead and highlight what you did and click Open the directory. And this is the virtual directory that basically your uh, system is in. But basically, it's like a Windows on Mac. So what you'll see is, there's a drive C. I went to Users, Public, Desktop, and I moved the uh, folder I had on my desktop that I unzipped onto the desktop. So first, move that zip file that you unzipped into that, you know, uh, the Windows virtual directory that you opened from here, and go to Users, Public, Desktop, copy that folder or move it to that folder, and then you want to copy your games also there. Maybe create a folder called 5200 ROMs. Download your favorite ones from the internet for this example, I'm going to show you guys the Super Breakout and Missile Command, as well as some ROMs. You're going to need the 5200 ROM for the system, so you can find that on the internet. Put it in the ROMs folder, and once you've got that set, then you want to go ahead and create the shortcut, and then pick the Altair, um, that in that folder, this altair.exe. You want to pick that for the shortcut, and that'll turn this into this icon, and you'll have it here. If you got two things here, you can remove the other one. Just keep the one that's called Altair. The other one that it initially set up doesn't really do anything. Once you're here, then the next step is, just go ahead and double click and give it a few seconds, and you'll notice here that it popped up. So now I've got my 5200 ROM here, and Altair supports up to 4 um, controllers. I've got mine configured already, so you can see as I move left and right, it's actually moving, pretty nicely, precisely as I move up and down slowly. So it's actually quite nice, and it seems to be working quite well. For you, the first time around, it probably will not do anything. I've got these mapped already, and I'll show you real quick. Even when I'm pressing, I'm going to go back to port number 2 here, just to show you the different ones. So here's the other one that's working on this second port. But you can see even when I press the numbers, I've mapped the numbers, I've mapped the start key, the reset key, pause, and start. And the way you map them is you go to input, and you're going to do input mappings. You will not have these here. So you're going to have to click add, um, and call it whatever you want, 5200 iCode adapter, for example, something like that. And then you want to click edit, and now I'm editing that controller that I just added, and you'll notice that there are 2 ports here. So um, you need to pick, if you want dual ports to be 2 different players, you want to do one for each one. So I'm going to go ahead and pick controller 1, for example, and then you're going to have to click add controller, and in this drop down box, pick the 5200 CX52. That'll give you basically a template for you, and it'll bring everything in. But you can see, it says none, none, none to everything. So they're not mapped yet. So what you want to do is you want to, double click each one. So for button 1, I'm going to push, uh, oops, this one here, the top button is button 1. Notice if I'm, press different ones, is mapping the different things. So I'm going to pick button 1 for 1, click OK, and then double click this one, button 2, okay, and then, don't do left, right, up, down, because these are not analog. These are the digital directions, so we'll leave those alone. Then click on analog stick horizontal, double click, and move to the right. You can see it says 1H, which means joystick 1 to the right, horizontal, and change this to absolute, because that's what we want. And then for vertical, move up and down like that. Absolute again. Okay. And then do the rest of the keys, but at the minimum, you've got to do the start, because otherwise you won't be able to start the games. So I'm going to press the start button here. That's button 9 automatically picked up. Reset. Okay. And pause. Okay. The rest of them you can do on your own. And again, make sure you've got that for the port. Okay. So, I mapped it to any, but you should have picked port 1. I'm not going to put a checkbox here, but you need to put it, because I've already done it for, 2 different ones I did. Once you do the first one, you can clone it and then do the same thing that we went through, edit it, and then go through the process. But once you've got it done, basically you'll have these two. You make sure both are activated, and click on close, and now you'll see that it's actually functioning. The other thing, if you're having some trouble to check, if you click on input setup, you'll get this graphical area. So you can see um, this allows you for digital games. So this is, you can see, all in that entire zone here, in this area, it all maps to this if you're playing digital games, and you can control, this snapping action by, defining, what is the dead zone, where nothing's moving, the stiffness of the stick, what the threshold is for before each of the directions happen. So you can play with this around if you want to, but the defaults I think are fine. So I wouldn't really mess with it and just keep it as is. So let's see how this works. The next is, we'll go ahead and pick a game here. So I'm gonna pick attach a cartridge. Let's start with Super Breakout. Why not? And it'll detect that it's a 5200 4K cartridge. Okay. And here's our Super Breakout. So I'm gonna go ahead and press the start. All right. So now you can see as I move the stick left and right, it is responding very nicely to left and right positions. As I press the button, that we got nice controls here. Now you'll notice that it's jumping a little bit. If I move quickly, that's normal. But there is some settings on the newer firmwares. You may have a little bit older firmware, but this is just about to release. But you can turn the display off by pushing these two buttons. So I moved the display off. Now notice that some of the jumpiness went away, and it gives you a little bit better response. Not much difference, but certainly a little bit better. I'm gonna go ahead and try it out here. Oops, if I can play here. All right, so it seems to be working quite well. All right, we'll let the ball go. So this works quite well. And then let's try one of my favorites, which is Missile Command, because that has both horizontal and vertical access. And we'll attach that cartridge to Missile Command. Now, this game works okay with this. I mean, it's kind of fun to play, but I prefer a trackball. There is a trackball video that I have that shows you how to make your Atari trackballs work with your PC as well, and you can go through the similar steps. The Atari trackball is much more fun to play this game, but this also works quite well in general. So I'm going to push start, and as you can see, I can move, I can push quickly, fire button, and it's pretty precise positioning, and lets me play pretty nicely. So I love it. I mean, this is awesome. So you can move from the left side to the right side quickly, and then as fast as you can move, you can certainly even make waves. Yeah, and I'll show you another neat trick on this device. There is some auto fire options. So see, here's rapid fire. I turned rapid fire on for button 1. So now you see if I do it, it actually opens up quite a bit, and it automatically fires. All I have to do is hold the button down. So if I have the button down, it's going to go ahead and do a rapid fire automatically. But obviously that wastes all your bullets, so be careful with that. All right, I think that does it for this video. I hope this was helpful. If you enjoy this video, give me a thumbs up and go to www.icode.com, icode.com. to learn more about these adapters. And if you've got questions and comments, please add them to this video. Love to see a thumbs up and some comments, and would love to help you get going. Take care.